Okay, hello. We have another casting game where it's just me casting solo queue games. This is more so for practice reasons. I found these games on op.gg's pro lol streams. The player who I have spectated this from is the Nautilus Lust, who is Attila, who is a Portuguese professional support. Other than that, looking at the comps, I mean, Belveth with a Soraka looks like it's going to be incredibly potent, so there's not really a lot that Belveth can do into a Skarner, Nautilus, and a Darius. Zoe can poke from a very long range. It's going to be what looks like a very brawly game, as both teams are very off-theme, but today we are looking at this. Let's show objective timers, turn off chat, and show the scoreboard. A second center ADC. The buffs really have been making a difference, it seems. Now, immediately going into this, we see that it's going to be as basic a start as you can get. Blue smites on both sides. Nothing too crazy there. I've seen a lot of Skarners, they do take green smite, but with Skarner's natural tankiness, it's kind of overkill in a lot of ways. So the blue smite, usually a lot better, especially for quick-paced ganking, which when you have a Nautilus, as well as a Darius and a Zoe, you're going to want to be setting up as many ganks as possible for this Skarner, so the Skarner want to be able to move around the map as quick as possible. Now, bot lane is going to be a very aggressive lane if you are the red side. Draven, Nautilus, obviously a very engagey combo, a very, brutal combo if done right. And Senna Soraka is incredibly passive, so it's going to be based on whether or not the red side is able to get a good engage onto the Senna or Soraka. That's going to determine basically the entirety of bot lane. Any kind of fight that happens, anything like that, is going to be fully decided by, the Nautilus. The Nautilus has kind of the autonomy in that relationship. Now, Darius into Renekton, I think, is a matchup which we all know very well that Darius will do very well in. Now, Belveth's going to be going for an early invade with the Rise. They're both standing there, going to be just taking the Raptors. No real combat there. 2 wards placed, and Belveth quickly getting level 2 off of that, smiting the Raptor away. As here we go. The fighting has already begun. Queuing from the Darius onto the Renekton, as Rai is going to be doing as much damage as he can. The Electric going to proc from the Zoe, dealing as everywhere, just damaging across the board, except for the blue side bot lane. Training away the mana as the Hema play gonna proc onto the Renekton. It's incredibly close. Both are gonna flash. Both are gonna proc the ignites as the bleed might kill Renekton first blood. First blood onto the Darius. Renekton overly fighting. The ignite popped early. All summoner spells gone from top lane. The Zoe bubble will land as this is an incredibly aggressive early game. The sleep damage not gonna quite proc, but again a decent amount of damage, especially with the electrocute, as Senna and Soraka currently having the time of their lives under their turret, being able to just shove back the wave. Now, this does set up nicely for a Nautilus hook as Senna's going to hit the W snare. Very, very close. The Nautilus, you can tell he's hovering over that Q key, just waiting in this bush, waiting for someone to overstep. Possibly waiting for the level 3 to proc. Belveth now going to be completing at the red side as Skarner's going to look to invade, but there's nobody home. All the camps have already been taken. They're going to check. This is just a waste of time. Really well pathed by the Belveth as they continue to check. And there's nothing there. The Belveth taking a massive advantage from invading that topside Raptor camp. Now just doing whatever she can. The wall's going to go first as here comes a sleep onto the Rise. Ignite going to pop as well. This could be a dead Rise. Rise might have to flash out of the way of a Zoe Q here, but Zoe just going to auto him to death. Flashing away just before the final auto can come out. As you know, you can't flash an auto. But now he's just going to walk up, flash away, flash in, flash out, but going to take the turret shot. Doesn't quite get out of the turret range before the shot hits. Now, trading on the mid lane, but the lane is in a very good state for Zoe. Under the turret, the minions are, and it will push back in, and we see on bot lane, clearing out as many wards from that bush as possible, Nautilus wants to, as he's just trying to get an opening to be able to attack, as Renekton going to be taking a weird trade, considering the size of the minion wave. Sacrificing a lot of HP, and here comes a nice little engage from the Darius. Going to be using the E to pull the Renekton in as the 5 stacks of Hema play going to be procking on. Not able to land the Q, not able to get the final blow. If the Q lands, especially in the outer ring, that might have spelled disaster. Zoe, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to quite land, but Nautilus backing up Zoe as Rise gets some assistance from Belveth. The Drake is going to be spawning momentarily as Skarner comes in for the dive onto Renekton. Really nice slice and dice from him to dodge out of the way of both of the CCs as Darius going to fall incredibly low. Very well played from the Renekton, looking to, you know, claim something from that win. Placing a ward in the river now to cover in case of whether or not Skarner decides he wants to come back at it again. As Nautilus goes back into bot side, Belveth is also pathing into bot right in time for this Drake. And as we see, Nautilus still fishing for that nice hook engage. As Zoe going to be rooted down by the Rise. Not enough damage to cause anything meaningful as the Electrocute will proc on the Rise once again. The damage from that Electrocute really starting to build up. Draven going to be hit by the Snare as Senna is stacking up beautifully. If we see Senna right now, 13 stacks already at 5 minutes. That is a total of about 10% crit chance, I do believe, according to the patch notes. Three balloons on bot side, which is very interesting considering this is not even Zoe's lane. But the leads starting to surmount. Despite being a kill down, they are still up in gold. The farm is incredibly important here. The Belveth are going to be up a total of 16 creeps. 4 camps in total. Stealing from the Skarner early on, just completely setting her off on the right track, perfectly identifying that Skarner's going to want to invade later on, so moving straight into the bot side. Darius now with a nice wave built up, going to be using the Q to just clear the wave, not too interested in fighting with the Renekton. Renekton going to fall off a lot earlier than Darius overall, because obviously Darius has the advantage of having true damage, whereas Renekton is going to probably be reduced to a stun, but Renekton now setting up a freeze. This could be devastating for Darius. He is already behind in farm, and Belveth is here to ensure that he cannot access that wave at any point. The slice and dice, the stun will come through, the knockup will hit as Belveth confirms it, but Renekton steals it in the end. A very, very beautiful setup from the Renekton to identify that Darius can't leave, as Draven going to be hit by the silence from the Soraka. Nautilus not in the area at the moment, as it could potentially be a free setup on the bot lane as well. They've really set themselves up for success here, but Draven going to be just focusing on dealing as much damage to the center as possible. Already, Bramble Vest on the Nautilus as a fight breaks out in the top side river. Belveth versus Skarner. Who is the better Kaiju? As Senna will be stunned. Draven now claims the bounty. That is going to be a massive gold influx, if I do say so myself. Not sure how many stacks he actually had, but here comes Renekton. And the ults are flying. Renekton's going to be landing the stun onto the Zoe. Not really too much she can do, as someone very much enjoying hitting the enemy has vision ping there. Welcome to Challenger, I guess. They're just trying to tell you that the enemy can see that, of course. The plate going solo to Draven. He needs to be careful. This Senna can very easily punish that overstep, and he's going to have to flash. But Senna's going to flash as well. The snare will land. The barrier has to get popped. Does he pick up a constellation kill? He will land the kill on the Soraka. It is after his death, so he does lose a significant amount of the stacks that he already had, but he'd already claimed it previously from the kill on the Senna. Renekton now looking in a very good spot. Rise as well. The only downside is Belveth is having the scoreline of the support, making the gold that she has a lot less impactful. If those 3 kills had landed on Belveth, you know that she's got first item. That Kraken Slayer would be there much, much faster, and she'd be able to take over the game very quickly. So at the moment, kind of a saving grace for the blue team that Belveth isn't ahead, because Belveth, one of those champs that can very easily snowball an early game lead into a late game domination. Similar to Lee Sin or Master Yi. All skills in mid going to miss. As we see a rotation onto the top side, a very clean, very nice rotation from the support and top onto the grubs. Soraka, realizing she's not really needed, Belveth can just sort of support herself taking it, so it's better for her to go mid, support the Rise in pushing. But look, the red team is willing to take the trade for the Drake, and it's a Inferno, I believe, if I remember seeing that correctly, which is incredibly useful, especially on 2 major AD threats. And Zoe, it's not actually an Infernal Drake, I was blind. It's a Mountain Drake, which is honestly even better considering the fact that, you know, there's no real true damage going to be on the blue side. So the Mountain Drake is a very, very useful pickup, especially for that Nautilus, especially for the Skarner. As we see a little bit of a skirmish going on in the bot lane, Draven versus Senna and the Soraka, as the R is going to land. The barrier is really well timed, as Draven just trying to pick up anything, but is going to fall to the Senna ultimate. Questionable engage from the Draven. Being down in numbers really does not help, as Zoe is adamant on engaging this Rise. Lands the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, hits the Paddle Star, and Rise is just left in mid. Alone, it would seem. Senna now at 32 stacks in 9 minutes, approaching 10 minutes, while Draven deciding to build multiple items at once, picking up the Serrated Dirk, probably for the Collector, while picking up the Bloodthirster components, a BF Sword and a Vampiric Scepter. Belveth here just doing a very standard double clear, double camp. Skarner going to be doing the same thing in topside. Mirroring, while the objectives are down, not too much to look for, but it seems that there is intending to be a fight on the top side. The wave will crash and Darius will get a beautiful reset. Resets all around, it seems, as botlane will also get a wave crashing into the turret. Now then, coming back onto the map, we're just going to see Rise not opting to back right now, has the Rod of Ages, has the Tear while the Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands. He sees the Skarner, sees the Zoe. Brilliant use of the ultimate to escape the danger there. And it looks like a fight might be brewing. Over what? I do not know. But they clearly want something. They might want to gain some more control for this Draven to get that turret early, potentially. As Nautilus going to be going in, landing the depth charge, landing the dredge line. Soraka going to be going incredibly low, having to flash out of the way. Draven is the one you want to land the kill on, and he will claim it. But here is Belveth, 0-3 with the Kraken Slayer, and Draven is going to die. To who are they going to give it to? The Belveth gets the gold bonus, as in topside we are having the most intense stare down between a crocodile and a man with an axe. But as we come back to the fight in bot lane, Skarner is now here fighting with the Nautilus. The Skarner R is going to go very, very wide, and Nautilus will fall down. Skarner might be able to escape cleanly if he leaves now. Belveth's going to be getting the refresh on the ultimate, but it looks like they want to die. The W snare going to land onto the Skarner. Belveth opting to leave, realizing that there's no real value in killing the Skarner now. It might be worth to take her camps, as Zoe and Rise just trading as purely can be. The Rod of Age is going to be scaling up and stacking up. Soraka now in mid, as Nautilus looks to mirror. Black Cleaver now on the Renekton makes the plated steel caps a lot less valuable. Obviously, you know, removing the armor from Darius as the fight begins, but Darius is going to relish that 12% reduced damage, as Draven, the brother on the bot side, going to be taking a snare, going to be getting rooted by the Soraka and taking a death from the center, as Zoe catches a... Oh, unfortunate there. Mistimes the R, dies to the turret, as here comes Skarner. Nautilus nowhere near, was traveling through to mid, but Belveth and Skarner fighting each other. Darius going to pop the ghost, but here comes Renekton. Renekton now going to be popping the Fury of the Sands. No, not Fury of the Sands, Dominus, as Skarner will fall. Draven nowhere to be seen. Draven with the possible ult onto the bot lane. Here it comes. Senna is the target for him, and we see doesn't quite land. Darius able to run away in the top side. And we are back to square one, 11-6, almost 5k gold lead for the blue team. As right now, the most basic of basic interactions in top lane, Darius going to be looking to try and make something of at the moment, but Belveth going to be catching out Zoe here. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land, but it's an easy kill for the Belveth. Now with 3 kills, the snowball has begun. Nautilus moving up to the top side. Darius raring for a fight with the Renekton, but Renekton very smartly backing at this moment in time. Senna going to be clearing the wave in bot. The Drake will be spawning momentarily. I don't know where the objective timers are. Where are the objective timers? Are they under the scoreboard? No, they're not under the scoreboard. Are they under Where? Are they under the score display? Oh, they're over here. Why are they so far down? I have to decrease the size of my minimap. Very professional, I'm aware. As we see, an absolute brilliant fight. Belva's going to be taking down the Nautilus, as I don't really know what happened there. Ryan's going to be taken down as well, as the Drake seems all but taken for the blue team. The first real stance they've had on that Drake pit all games. Renekton just going to be taking a nice cheeky trade against the Draven. Drake will fall. Renekton is now very, very much in the driver's seat in top lane. Darius not able to get an advantage ahead, and anytime he steps up now, he is going to be at the mercy of the Belveth. Now coming back onto the map, is there a way to be able to increase the size? If I decrease the HUD scale, they've absolutely chose a brilliant way of doing this. Okay, we'll do it like that. I guess that works. Anyway, Renekton now going to be taken down by the Darius and the Nautilus. Going to be flashing on the opposite side, but Darius will fall before the Renekton can die. Now a 3v1. Nautilus will fall to Renekton as well. 5-1 is the Renekton as a surrender vote happens. FF15, if I do say so myself.